Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Look, just take the fight and the money. Stop making things hard. That's exactly what Jaron Boots Ennis should have done. That's what Shakur Stevenson should have done. Jaron Boots Ennis had an opportunity to fight Terrence Crawford. If you guys remember when it came to that WBO column where Jaron Boots Ennis was actually ranked, somehow he ended up over in the going the IBF route. There's a lot of different speculation about why he did it. Bottom line, it seemed like he thought it was a better opportunity. But what I'm going to say is this, right? Because Crawford says one thing, Ennis says one thing. There's all kind of stuff floating around on YouTube channels, all kind of stuff on social media about whether Boots put duck sauce on the fried rice or he was just trying to find a different avenue to maybe pick up a strap, maybe go fight Earl Spence. Like, there's a lot of different things being said. Everybody feels they're speaking fact when they talk on this. All I'm going to say is, seems to me there was an opportunity. Boots and his team complicated things more than what they should have. Should have just taken the fight. With Shakur Stevenson and the opportunity he had to fight Devin Haney. I don't care what anyone says. When a fighter gets an opportunity to fight for undisputed, you don't turn that down. You don't turn that down, because to fight for, it's one thing to fight for a title, but to fight for undisputed, I mean, it's not like that opportunity is going to present itself again. The kind of work that goes into a fighter who has to really go out there and collect belts to become undisputed is very exhausting and time consuming. But when you're a fighter like Shakur Stevenson, who gets presented the 4-for-1 deal, 4 belts, 1 fight, and you turn it down, just lets you know that some stupid people advise him. I don't care about the purse split. You seize the opportunity. But the bottom line is, when you look at Boots Ennis, you look at Shakur Stevenson, and where they are in their careers. Now, don't get me wrong, the career is not over. These guys are going to rebound and get active again, but right now it sucks for them. But if you look at where their careers are right now, imagine where their careers would have been if they would have taken, Boots would have taken the Crawford fight. Boots would have entertained BLK Prime maybe, and maybe did things a little differently when it came to Espinoza and Showtime, and where Shakur Stevenson would be if he would have taken the Devin Haney fight at 135, and not be going through his situation where people are basically, they don't even care about watching his fights anymore, don't even care about him in boxing. Like, Shakur Stevenson has really shot himself in the foot, and we know boxing fans can be a bit funny and a bit tricky, but it's like they've totally turned their back on Shakur Stevenson. And this is the thing that comes with the territory, or when you start thinking you're valued at more than what you're actually worth. Now, with Boots Ennis, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't hear anybody saying, Boots, he's not active, he's going to retire. Well, goodbye. We don't need him. That's not what anyone's saying. Every single person I heard talk about Boots Ennis is saying he needs to get active. We need to see him fight. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. He is the pound-for-pound guy already. He just hasn't got the opportunities, but we know he's that guy. Everything is positive about Boots. And when you look at Terrence Crawford, you look at Earl Spence, a lot of people, they feel Boots would have beat both of them, and today will beat both of them. So it just is a bad situation where you got Boots out here struggling with his promotional issues, having to sue and having to go through this long, arduous process to where he's just going to continue to be inactive. When you got guys out there who will snatch him up, like Eddie Hearn, like Floyd Mayweather Promotions. Even, you know, look, I'm not saying he should sign to these people. What I'm telling you is he has options. Oscar De La Hoya, Golden Boy, wants to sign him. Top Rank will sign him. You know, there's a lot of options there for Boots Ennis. Now, when you look at Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, And nobody really seemed to be too interested in signing Shakur Stevenson. We all know he's a generational talent. We all know that Shakur Stevenson can fight. But the problem is, the way things are in boxing right now, if it wasn't for the Saudis, let me tell you, those fights we're seeing at heavyweight wouldn't be happening. Just like we're not seeing a whole lot of fights happening at these lighter weight, the weight classes beneath heavyweight, because the money these fighters want is just not there. They're not generating the kind of revenue and proceeds to where they can command $3, $4, $5 million guarantees. Like, it's just not going to happen. So the bottom line is, whatever money is in the pot for Shakur Stevenson. And the fact that Top Rank has already cut his fight purses in half going forward, that's just a telltale sign that with Shakur Stevenson, he should have just taken that damn Devin Haney fight at 135. Devin Haney would have been weight drained again. Sure, he would have rehydrated, but Shakur Stevenson, I think, would have had a better opportunity to look good against Devin Haney than his situation when he ended up having to fight De Los Santos. Because it's two different fighters, two different skill levels, power is different, everything. So there's pros and cons to him fighting Haney, pros and cons to him fighting De Los Santos. But the one thing about his situation right now, when we talk about pros and cons, there's been more cons, more downside, and he's just in a bad spot. So going forward for these guys, we got to wait and see what's going to happen with Boots. But I think as soon as Boots comes back, I think the boxing world is going to go crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you have a high demand for something and such a low supply, the price goes through the roof. And Boots Ennis is that guy where there is a high demand to see him in the ring, and it's just a very, 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 there's nothing at all on the market. So when Boots Ennis returns, I think Boots Ennis is going to get a big name and make a very handsome fight purse, depending on who he signs with and what his guarantees are. Because I think it's a good lesson learned for Boots Ennis, especially when it comes to business, to make sure that going into his next contract, that maybe he doesn't get into anything for more than 3-4 fights, and that he works out his guarantees to make sure every fight, no matter what, he gets paid a certain amount. His situation with the promoter, it's kind of unfortunate that, the guy who was running the show died, and the person who succeeded him didn't really have a good pulse on how to continue to meet their contractual obligations to the fighters. So Boots is in a pretty bad spot, but it looks like he'll recover. But for Shakur Stevenson, if Shakur Stevenson wants to recover and wants to get his fight purses back up and get the fans to take him more serious, I think when it comes to fighters and getting in tough fights where they win a decision, you don't always have to go and have a rematch to let everybody know that I could perform better or I deserve the win. I think Shakur Stevenson is the opposite. He needs to rematch De Los Santos, in my opinion, and redeem himself. Don't come out here trying to fight somebody who's not as strong, not as fast, who's a lesser threat than De Los Santos, and then not run from them and think that the boxing fans are going to be fooled and all of a sudden accept you. I just don't think that's how it's going to work. I don't think boxing fans are ready to open their arms back up to Shakur Stevenson. But that being said, Boots Ennis, Shakur Stevenson, I definitely feel they have the heart to continue fighting. I think Shakur Stevenson is still a problem for anybody at 135. Boots Ennis, I think Boots Ennis is a problem for anybody from 147 to 160. Just talking about somebody who worked his way up from the ground floor, it's just for me, watching Boots and him not knowing when he's going to fight next. For me, that's frustrating because I really think Boots Ennis is must-see TV, and his profile is only going to grow. Shakur Stevenson, it depends on what you want to watch. If you like boxing, he's must-see TV because we like boxing. But as far as him getting in the ring and putting on a show, it depends on what he has in front of him. And you can't expect Shakur Stevenson, who's more of a boxer puncher, to get in the ring and turn stupid and look for the mash-up, crash-up, just to satisfy fans. But at the same time, he needs to do what Jermaine Ortiz needed to do against Teofimo and hold his ground a little bit more. Let off some hard shots. Shakir would have done that against De Los Santos. Just, hold his ground a little more, let off some hard shots, engage in an occasional mashup crasher. I think Shakur Stevenson would be good in his return, and then would have been good when he did fight De Los Santos. That being said, y'all keep cool, but this is a lesson learned to all these fighters out here. When you get presented a huge fight for belts and stuff like that and decent money, don't turn it down thinking, but what I'm going to do is keep winning. That way my profile grows, so when I come back to the table to renegotiate, I can get a bigger slice of the pie. Man, that stuff is not guaranteed, man. It's not guaranteed. And now you look at what Boots Ennis and Shakur Stevenson. Boots he has an IBF strap, but he's gonna have to face some mandatories. He may get stripped. I wonder how the IBF feels. They got Boots Ennis. They gave him the belt, thinking he'd be out here fighting and being active and defending the belt, and now he can't fight. So I wonder if they're going to sit here and say if his situation's not resolved, sooner than later they're going to strip him. You just never know when the secret society gets involved. They do what they want. And for Shakur Stevenson, he's a WBC champ. He's got some mandatories to face, but we'll see how Top Rank approaches Shakur Stevenson. It's crazy to me that he's the guy who has a WBC belt, but his guarantees have been cut in half. And I wonder how that affects any opponent that he faces in the opponent's fight purse, especially when, depending on the champion with these sanctioning bodies, the champion gets a very large percentage of the overall fight purse. So that could see some of his opponents not wanting to fight him because they'd be getting, damn near crumbs compared to what they would get if they fought somebody else who had the belts at 135. So that being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Take the fight and the money and quit thinking something bigger and better is out there for you, because those opportunities may never resurface again.